Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream legal show. Today, we're going to focus on something that's not entirely legal, but this is something that I've paid some close attention to, which is the mysterious disappearance of a Korean American woman in Southern California. Her name is Lauren Cho. She was 30 years old, and today this was in the news because the remains that were found near the Joshua Tree National Park on October 9th have been positively identified as Lauren Cho's remains. So this is a very sad day for Lauren's family and friends. I did send a brief email out to her family through the Facebook group, but of course I didn't get a response. I didn't really think that they would respond to me, much less want to be on this small YouTube channel show. Later on, I did read some other news articles where it said that her family did not want to be interviewed for anything. So yeah, let's just take a moment here to get to know who was Lauren Cho, and let's think about what could have possibly happened to her. It's still a total mystery. We're not even sure if she was murdered or not, although, I tend to think that it probably was murder, or, somebody did this to her. It's a very strange, mysterious story. So it looks like her friends have already set up a website for her, which is pretty amazing. It's a beautiful website. It's laurencho.com. LAURENCHO.com. So I'll switch over to here where you can see this beautiful website that her friends and family have set up when they were desperately trying to find her all summer. So this website says that Lauren Cho is a talented vocalist with a Bachelor of Music degree from Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey. She taught high school music in Irvington Township, is a former piercing apprentice at Diamond Heart Piercing, and is a former section leader of a church choir in Lambertville, New Jersey, where she has many dear friends. Lauren, or Elle, as many of her friends know her, grew up in Hunterdon County, the youngest of two sisters. Her sister, who helps to run the Facebook page Missing Person, Lauren L. Cho, describes her as a talented musician, an incredible baker, a hilarious and loyal friend, a strangely intuitive gift giver, and probably the coolest sister one could hope for. But where Elle really shines is as an aunt. So later I might show a cute picture that they have of her with her little niece, a baby. So it goes on to say that Lauren decided to move to the West Coast in the winter of 2020-21 after purchasing an old school bus to convert into a food truck. Elle's passion for baking can be seen on her Instagram. Cho, 30, was last seen at 3 p.m. on Monday, June 28th, that's this year, in the 8600 block of Ben Mar Trail in Morongo Valley, California. She was wearing a yellow t-shirt pictured and jean shorts. No tracks of Els have been found, nor has any trace of her been found in the surrounding desert. Her friend and former boyfriend, Cody Orell, is the last known person to have seen her. They were staying on their friend Tal Respoli's Air BnB property, where Elle had become a private chef. Elle had a parrotlet named Pork Chop that she didn't like to leave. Since Elle's disappearance, Pork Chop became sick and has succumbed to the illness. So that's very sad. And on this website, you can also see videos or hear recordings of Elle or Lauren singing with different choruses or choirs. And so that was what I was playing at the very beginning of this show. So total mystery here. And when I first heard about the case and started reading articles about her when she was just a missing person several months ago, I immediately thought, well, some of these things that the ex-boyfriend were saying seemed kind of strange, because he was the last person who saw her alive. And normally when a woman is found dead or has disappeared, the prime suspect is usually the romantic lover, the ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, or the husband. So, of course, we don't want to unfairly accuse somebody of something he's not even been publicly stated to be a person of interest. So, I have no idea what happened, but in my opinion, you would think that law enforcement has already thoroughly vetted him or his story. The good thing is that when she allegedly went missing, she had left the Airbnb resort, which, again, I'm having trouble visualizing this because when you think of Airbnb, you think of maybe like a small cabin or sort of like a condo, apartment, a little house or part of a house that people rent out. But this seems to be like a bigger Airbnb property where multiple people lived temporarily. And it seemed to attract a lot of artists or musicians, kind of bohemian types. The housekeeper said that it was okay for people to walk around nude. So it was like a bigger type of living community in Southern California, probably, I would say, roughly 2 hours east of Los Angeles. They say it's near Yucca Valley. I'm not too familiar with that particular locale, but there have been articles that said that day it was as hot as 110 degrees there. So it just seems really bizarre that the boyfriend says they did have a verbal altercation. They were already broken up anyway. And supposedly she had already started dating some other people and had already met somebody for a date before June 28th. And she had also told the ex-boyfriend that she planned on meeting somebody else on Sunday, the following Sunday, but he didn't ask her for details. So they're still living there. And she was working at that time as I guess like a personal chef at the Airbnb. And so he said that they had this argument and then he went back into their bus, that bus that they were going to convert into a food truck. And then she just walked away with nothing, no money with her, no cell phone with her. She left her parakeet or her bird, no food, no water on a day that was as hot as 110 degrees. And he says, she just seemingly evaporated or disappeared into thin air. And he also said in an article that there was about a 10-minute window of time where she disappeared. So I'm kind of like, well, how would you know it was a 10-minute window of time? I mean, maybe it was because 10 minutes later after going back into the bus, he suddenly went outside and didn't see her. Maybe that's what he meant. But still, I mean, there's definitely some people on the internet also that are thinking, well, they have to, but hopefully they have been, investigating the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend story and everything, because she just seemingly vanished without a trace. They said she wore Doc Martens and there were no tracks or footprints or anything. I'm not sure what the terrain looks like right there or what kind of road it was that she was walking on. Was it a busy road or was it pretty desolate out there? But either way, something bad happened to her. I think it's pretty unlikely that it would have been a suicide because even in an article, her friends kind of debunked that and said, come on, like if somebody is suicidal, they're not going to just like disappear into a hot desert because that doesn't seem to be a very efficient way to commit suicide. So let me take a look over here at people's comments. Thank you guys for being here. I know this was also another last minute thing, especially since I just did a live stream yesterday about Squid Game, but this just came up in the news and I felt compelled, like, okay, let's just go ahead and talk about Lauren Cho, just try to bring more publicity to this mystery, what happened to her. Yeah. So thank you, Kathy, for being here. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Euphoric. So yeah, it's very sad. I mean, it just must be so overwhelming to her family since she moved away all the way from New Jersey to California. Who knows when's the last time that they really saw her? Maybe it could have been before she moved to California. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wish this was sensationalized by the media to increase awareness that hopefully will help with this mystery case. Yeah. So it is kind of good that at least CNN and Yahoo News, Huffington Post, actually a lot of major news outlets have been covering this, as well as the news stations in Southern California. So if anybody happens to know anything or knows anything about the people who knew her in California, let's just hope that they will tell the detectives or contact the police. So that's why I was really happy to just find this website, laurencho.com, where it also gives information about who to contact if you have any tips or have any bit of information that might be helpful. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So she does seem to be like a free spirit type of person. Yeah, she was a music teacher. So it sounds like she was a musical prodigy or a singing prodigy when she was younger, and then went to a music school and then became a music teacher. So I'm not really sure like when she worked for the tattoo parlor too, but it sounds like that was another one of her interests. So she had a couple of different jobs before she decided to pack up everything and move to California with that now ex-boyfriend. Yeah, I bookmarked them. Oh, okay. The Airbnb village that she disappeared in has taken down the. Yeah, because just before this live stream, I was kind of Googling around trying to find information about that Airbnb place. Like, what did it even look like? Because visually, I don't know what kind of place this is or how desolate was it out there. Was it in the middle of nowhere, or was it on a busy street where there would have been a lot of people driving around? Who knows? Yeah, not familiar with this area at all. Yeah, so let's take a look at this website some more, because they do say they do have a lot of information. They also have like really nice pictures of Lauren. In addition to her singing, there's just like pictures of her having fun with friends. It looks like she was voted, was it like most humorous or big troublemaker or something like that in her high school yearbook, perhaps. Yeah. So at the right side of the website, you see how to help. So I hope that's showing up on the screen. Yeah, looks like it's showing up right there. How to help is it's encouraging everybody to post on social media. So of course, this was back when they hadn't even found her body yet. So it said anyone with any information is urged to contact Detective Edward Hernandez or Sergeant Justin Giles, Specialized Investigations Division, and it has a phone number there, 909-387-3589. And then they also want people to submit Elle's story to the popular true crime and missing persons podcasts. So there's like a link to the Crime Junkie suggestion form and the Vanish podcast. Okay, so I haven't done that yet, but I definitely will. Yeah, it's such a strange mystery. And also, I saw on the Wikipedia page that there were some quotes from the housekeeper in some news article closer to the time that she vanished. And the housekeeper said that Lauren and her ex-boyfriend were arguing, and both of them had started drinking earlier in the day on June 28th. And then I also saw some quotes from other friends that were not named, who said that, it was a very brief verbal altercation. And I think either the housekeeper or the friends were saying that Lauren was trying to drive away in the bus, but Cody, the ex-boyfriend, refused to let her. So I think that might have happened just before she perhaps got mad and then just walked away. But it just seems so bizarre, like everybody these days, especially younger people, they're not going to go anywhere without their cell phone. I mean, it just seems really weird that she would be so mad that she just, walked away in a huff into the heat, into the desert, with nothing on her whatsoever. It's so bizarre. I don't know. I mean, hopefully someday we will actually find out what may have happened, unless she just happened to be walking a short distance and then some stranger came and picked her up and abducted her. Who knows? So very strange mystery there. Yeah, so definitely you guys take a look at laurencho.com, and it's just so touching to hear these songs and hear her singing and see the pictures of her having fun with her friends and everything. So Yeah, I can totally understand that her family doesn't wanna, get all over the media or in front of cameras and stuff, especially right now when they just found out for sure that, those were her remains that were found in the desert. So, let's take a look here at there's a Facebook group that I also recommend if you're interested in this story to take a look at the Facebook group that her sister and her friends have set up. And I do appreciate you guys being here. So hope you all are doing well tonight. Okay, so here we have the Facebook page, and you can see that cute little picture of, I guess it's her niece with the face kind of blurred out, but there she is, holding on to her precious little niece, and more pictures of Lauren, and you know, her friends and relatives have been really good about updating the page and adding more pictures of her, just to bring more attention to what may have happened to her. And these are her tattoos. I guess she was totally into tattoos. And these are pictures that Cody had taken of her before she disappeared. This is the video of her singing. And then the family is kind of talking back to people who might have left like very rude comments or made some like wild speculations, maybe claiming that she was suicidal or on drugs or whatever. This is where they say, the family has ignored the crass attempts directed at us. The accusations are baseless and thus easily disproved. Most importantly, we have the option of publicly defending ourselves if need be, so we simply shrug, document it, and move on. However, choosing to speak poorly of Elle and making statements that directly contradict what we and law enforcement were told is disrespectful. For the record, several sources confirmed to us that Elle was not under the influence of anything at the time of her disappearance. Never mind that intoxicated people are not really known for their stealth or speed. And yet Elle somehow managed to leave no tracks and vanished without a trace in the middle of the afternoon. The timing of this new detail is not lost on us. Okay, so definitely, whatever you put out there, just realize that perhaps her close friends and her relatives and her sister, the parents, are reading them too. So, it's like, why do people have to like say mean things when the family is under distress? We just want to try to solve the mystery. Yeah. So definitely take a look at this Facebook group. It's called Missing Person Lauren Cho. And I'll take a look over here. Yeah. Okay. So H-Dub says it was very boho chic with a main house in the desert and several campers and converted buses. It is owned by a celebrity. I'm looking up his name is Tal Raspoli. Yeah, I saw that name, but I had never heard of him. So, yeah, it seems like an interesting place to be. And it sounded like she was starting a totally new life going out there. Not sure how happy she was and everything, but what a interesting thing to do when you're 30 years old and you just decide that you're going to ditch your career. And I read somewhere in another not a mainstream news outlet, but there was something else online where they said she had met her ex-boyfriend over Memorial Day weekend. And I'm not sure if that means this year, because that would have been really weird if she had just met him this year over Memorial Day weekend, and then within less than a month later, she disappears. So maybe she met him the previous year in 2020, but who knows? I mean, if anybody knows more information about their relationship or how they met, please feel free to chime in or leave it in the comments later. But I also recall reading that they met at some sort of like event near a beach. It might have been some sort of event where she ended up buying the old school bus to convert it into a food truck. And so she decided to, with this guy, not sure how long she really knew him, decided to just ditch her life and move across the country. So I do kind of wonder, how her parents or how her sister felt about that, or how did they feel about that boyfriend? Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for being here also. Yeah, Tao is Olivia Wilde. Oh, okay. Well, I don't really follow celebrity news that much or read any any of those celebrity type of websites. So, yeah, thanks for the information. Yeah, where's the location of the ex-boyfriend? Do we know where he's at? What's his name? Oh, his name is Cody Orell. I think it's like Orrell. There have been some news articles that spelled it only with one R. So, yeah, and then another thing I read about him was that he was a musician. So I guess he was trying to be in a band or trying to make it as a musician. So who knows if he had a real job? Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, you would think he is a person of interest, but I have no idea. You know, they're not publicly saying it in any of the news articles. And there were search warrants that were executed. Um, for the Airbnb property, but it wasn't, I don't think the searches really happened until late July based on the news articles that I've read. So that still gave, like a whole month of people potentially destroying or throwing away or getting rid of evidence. So I do kind of wonder, like, why did it take so long to get search warrants issued so that the property could be searched? Yeah, because even with the Gabby Petito case, I think one of my subscribers left a comment and wanted me to talk about the Gabby Petito case a while back. This was before Brian Laundrie was also found dead. And they're like, oh, how come they let him get away? So the issue obviously is that people still have constitutional rights, against unreasonable search and seizure. So even if everybody is suspecting that somebody most likely murdered someone, the cops can't just run out and arrest a person just on a hunch. You still have to jump through all the hoops and prepare a warrant and submit it before a judge, and a judge has to sign off on the warrant before somebody can potentially get arrested or even be searched. So anyway, I don't handle criminal law, so anyone feel free to chime in with more details about that. But that's another reason why, even if people are like, yeah, they should just go ahead and arrest him, or why'd they let Brian Laundrie get away? Well, I guess at that point maybe they hadn't gotten enough evidence to be able to do anything to him. Although you would think that they would have also already been bugging his phone or tracking his whereabouts to the point where he wouldn't have been able to just run off and evade law enforcement for so long. So, but anyway, that's all I want to say about the Gabby Petito case, because this one I wanted to focus on Cody, or not Cody, Lauren Cho. So, yeah, I'm just flashing up these things now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay. Cody was listed as a super host for the Airbnb that Tao owns. I'm thinking she was a private chef. Yeah, I'm thinking they had something to. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, but usually the last person or the last people who saw the missing or deceased person, those are usually the prime suspects, right? Especially since she had at least a verbal altercation with the ex-boyfriend before she disappeared. Yeah. What happens if the person arrests and hold a person without cause? Well, sometimes some people do try to bring a civil suit against the police, for violating their civil rights, or a lot of times, the charges just get dropped. But, a lot of different things could potentially happen. Yeah, one thing I do remember from studying for the bar exam is that if the evidence is improperly gathered, then that evidence is called the fruit of the poisonous tree and cannot be used against the person at trial. So that's another thing about criminal law and criminal procedure, where in our country, we do have all these rights of the accused, and there are all these procedural rules. So that's why sometimes all the evidence that people hear about in the news does not always get brought in court when the person is on trial for something. Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to make this a short live stream, and to also make sure that we remember Lauren Cho, try to get the word out, try to contact these Crime Junkie podcast type places that you can find on laurencho.com. just to put pressure on them, or just, let them know, hey, people care about this poor woman, and we want to have more publicity and figure out what exactly happened to her. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Appreciate your support of this channel and everything, and I hope you have a good evening then. Take care.